I don't know the single parent, I've never met them, who didn't wish their child came with an instruction manual. We get handed this treasure, this beautiful baby, and as they grow, we start to realize, wow, they have a personality. They're not exactly like me or the spouse that helped make them, the partner these days. We want to be so good to those kids. We want them to grow up, be perfect little people, have perfect little lives. But we're not so perfect all the time, are we? Even though all those books, all those articles are always telling us how to be the perfect parent. Well, my guest today, Kate Hamilton, took that concept and flipped it on the head. She wrote The Imperfect Parent. I just love this. I think it's a great concept, and we're going to learn about imperfect parenting today from Kate Hamilton. Please say hello. Thank you.
Hello, Diane. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. The Imperfect Parent. Let's just start with, where'd you come up with this title?
Well, frankly, in your opening, when you were saying how, you get this child and you want an instruction manual. Well, I was raised by parents that did the best they possibly could, and they didn't have an instruction manual either. And I saw how much they struggled to raise me and my siblings. And so I was like, I'm going to do it differently because,
Because we're all going to do it differently than our parents.
Exactly. I'm doing it differently. So I read every single book out there on parenting at the time. And I was like, okay. And I kept on telling my husband, oh, no, we're not going to have kids until I'm done reading all these books. And he's like, we're never going to have kids at this rate. Let's just rip off the Band-Aid and let's have kids and let's see where it takes us. And I was like, oh my gosh. And as we were having kids and as we were raising them, I'm realizing, okay, all these things that these books told me to do, they don't know my child. I'm like, they don't know my desires and my background and how I want to raise my kids. And they don't know my lifestyle. They don't know so much about me. And guess what? The first one is diabolically different than the second one. Black and white difference.
Yep.
Is like, and so anything I did for the first one was not right for the second one. And so the thing I was noticing is that, oh my gosh, I've got imperfection written all over this. And so my husband, frankly, kind of said to me, well, Kate, you're kind of the imperfect parent. You're good at being imperfect.
It's so, you raised such a good point. First people, it always cracks me up when somebody says there's no difference between boys and girls. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you have never been around boys and girls, especially little ones, and as they get to be teenagers. But then when somebody says, well, I'm just going to have kids that are like this, as you said, I have 5 brothers and sisters. Yeah. There's nothing. I mean, yes, you would know we were 5 brothers and sisters, but we are as different as you and I, your dark hair and my white hair.
Exactly.
It's amazing. It's so remarkable. You can take the same 2 parents and you get totally different personalities and different people in the mix.
Not only do my boys look different, I have one brown-haired, blue-eyed kid who is a football player kind of looking and tall, and the other one was this skinny, blonde hair, brown-eyed, tan child. Same 2 parents.
Yep.
And you go, okay, genetically, could that be possible?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay, my mom's blonde, his mom's blonde. Okay, like, here's the blue eyes, there's the, okay, so genetically it's possible. Because we're like, because the joke was, it's the mailman's kid.
Yeah, exactly. Now, how do you define the difference between believing you're doing perfect parenting versus imperfect parenting?
Well, first of all, anybody who thinks they're perfect all the time.
Oh, that would be painful.
I'm not. That's what I'm going to say. And when I say I'm not perfect, I also say I live by this 3 kind of theory. The first is that because I'm imperfect, I need to be quick to say I'm sorry.
Oh.
I have to be slow to judge And I have to learn from the past because it's not okay, in my opinion, just to say I'm imperfect and just use that as an excuse.
Ooh, good point.
Okay to say I'm imperfect and I'm going to make mistakes, and that being imperfect means that I'm going to push myself and try things, get my hands sweaty every time, and push myself out of my comfort zone and out of the things I know I can do. And being imperfect, so if I thought I was staying in that perfect zone, I wouldn't have had kids because guess what? Kids are challenging.
Oh, yeah.
Kids are different.
The biggest challenge you can, I used to say to people, everyone should have kids. And then I coming from the woman who was terrified to have them until she was 39.
Oh, I was terrified to have them and I was 31. So yes.
And then you realized, no, everyone shouldn't have kids because it is you have to be ready for somebody to call out your imperfections, because that's what kids do so well, and just bluntly,
and I actually
very humbling.
I actually used that, and I wrote about this in the book. Is that there were several things that I wanted help, and I didn't want to pass on to my kids. And I needed somebody to hold me accountable for those things. And my husband at first was, but it still wasn't enough. My husband wasn't around all the time. The kids were. And one in particular that I talk about in the book is me yelling. Yelling. I talked very loudly and emotionally is what I keep on saying. My kids will be like, no, Mom, you yelled. I'm like, okay, maybe. But it was something that I was taught. It was the way I grew up. We just, Italian, Irish family, what do you want? We talked very exuberantly. And I then told the kids, hey, listen, if I am speaking in a manner that is, quote, you believe yelling, I'm giving you permission to hold me accountable and ask me to bring it down. Because if my whole theory was, if I'm getting them to hold me accountable for things I don't want to pass on, hopefully they won't then think
that is fantastic. I can understand yelling. I grew up in a house where there was no yelling. There was definitely no yelling. There wasn't much communication either until we were much older. And, my mother's last 2 years of life, I think I spent more talking with her than I had at other points.
Oh, wow.
And it was great.
Yeah.
But when I think about, the yelling, I definitely had more than my fair share of moments where I lost it. And my kids would say, you were pretty good at it, Mom. But I remember they were triggered by the fact that as you had my first kid at 39, I had multiple businesses. I had 400 plus employees by the time I had kids. None of them ever talked back to me. None of them were ever rude to my face. I didn't have clients that were rude to my face. All of a sudden, I've got this kid this big that talks back to me when I say, okay, it's time to, whatever. It's such a wake-up call that, oh my gosh, I have someone who's going to challenge every single rule I make.
Oh my goodness, I can relate to that.
It's also why I learned quickly the only people I would speak with afterwards on parenting were actually people who had other parents that were willing to be honest. I was no longer interested in my single girlfriend's advice or their eye rolls when, they'd be like, oh my God, look at that kid. I'm like, you never had one. You don't know what it's like for your kid to do 360s in the middle of the bank or the grocery store because they're just having a meltdown about they're tired.
Oh my gosh, I have the funniest story ever about that. I am bringing home groceries, right? And we pull in the driveway and the kids were young, maybe 4 and 5. And they had just gotten back from the ranch with their dad. And on the ranch, there wasn't facilities to use bathrooms and those kind of things. So they went to the bathroom outside.
Right.
Dad's not home. Mom's there. We're taking the groceries in. Mom gets started to talk to one of the neighbors, and we're talking and whatnot. And all of a sudden, the neighbor's like eyes get like this wide. And my boys were pooping in the front yard. It's just delightful to see and watch. I'm like, that was one of my more humbling moments. Like,
We've all had them.
and you have to
And
teach.
anyone who says they haven't is not someone I really want to have a conversation.
Completely agree. And the thing
You're
is,
lying.
and the thing that you would just assume that was the ranch, and this is now at our house. We have a toilet. Why would you go? Because they were going outside.
Yeah.
And so, like, they don't know the difference.
Right. Yeah, you find out how innocently and purely kids see the world.
Oh, completely.
And you realize the things, I mean, even now, now that I've got kids in their 20s and, sometimes someone will, and they're very independent, but they'll ask a question and I'm like, wait a second.
Didn't I teach
Wow.
you that?
I have to go, exactly.
Didn't I
have to
teach you
go
that?
way back. Did I ever teach that or did I just assumed it was something that you're born knowing, where you put a stamp on an envelope? It could be
Oh
anything.
my gosh. And it's so interesting in this day and age how kids don't know those kind of things. Because they
never have to do it. They pay everything by Venmo.
Exactly.
I'm like,
yeah.
where to put the stamp? Like, whoa.
No. That happened to me. My son, I think, is a similar age.
Yeah.
My younger son, not that my sons are that much apart. They're only 14 months apart.
No, it was a few years ago. And I'm like, wow, you would have thought I remember third grade.
Yes.
We had to learn how to, not just where you put the return address, where you put the address.
Yeah.
And that it was 2 spaces between New York, New York. You had to have the 2 spaces and then 3 spaces before you put the zip code.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Even if you were handwriting, so you had to allocate the space for.
Yeah.
And you knew where the stamp went.
Yeah. And nowadays, you're not even supposed to put any punctuation.
Oh,
And
that
I'm like,
drives me nuts.
I
My
still
caps
do.
recently broke. On this side of my computer, my caps aren't working.
Oh, no.
Unless I really slam to the super far left, which is crazy. It's driving me nuts. I'm like, do I have to replace my computer because my cap is stuck? But yeah, the lack of punctuation.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting used to it.
So I'm curious. You start to write a book called The Imperfect Parent. What was the reaction of your children first? Because they're very.
Okay. So, first of all,
Are we in here, Mom?
Yeah, of course. And so the idea of the book really came from my mother-in-law sat me down and told me a long time, like when I was first married, how she raised her son. And, she was brutally honest. I was really grateful because my husband wasn't going to tell me these things. Let's be honest. A guy is not going to share what a girl would share and not share to the extent that a girl would share, even when he does share. And so it gave me a lot of questions to ask because I was on this seeking mode, like, how are we going to raise our kids? And I was constantly asking all these questions to him. Oh, we'll get it. We'll be fine. Don't worry. Just relax, kind of thing. And he finally was like, I'm like, no, here's my questions. We got to sit down. You plan your business. We sat down and wrote out a 10-year plan and whatnot. But now let's answer these questions. Like, how are we going to raise our kids so we're on the same page?
Do you think that's common?
No, I really don't.
I don't either. And it's actually incredibly important.
Oh, incredibly important. And I really think that's really what I was getting at with this book. And so this book at the end of each chapter has these questions and it tells you the lives of how I raised my boys. It's literally about them. It's brutally honest about my mistakes and my successes. And the book is dedicated to my future daughter-in-laws. And I know that there are some women that are going to be scared away by that. And I really am not meaning to scare them away. But the whole idea is that I don't care if you read it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Sit down and answer the questions with whoever. I mean, I want them to sit down and answer the questions with my sons, because then they're raising their kids how they want to, and they can take the good of how they were raised.
I think it's a fantastic thing. It's like, before you at one point, I don't know if they still do it, it's still done now, but before you could get married in the Catholic Church, you had to go to pre-Cana classes.
We did. My husband and I did.
Where you had different couples teaching things.
Mm-hmm.
And I, to this day, remember those lessons. They were really good lessons because, you're thinking, I love him and this is going to be great and da-da-da, and then, but people don't want to talk about money.
Finances.
People don't want to talk about children and how to raise them. They're more focused on, I hope they end up with your nose and my eyes and your hair and, my height and blah, blah, blah. They go back and forth on these physical things instead of, what are we going to do with this thing when it arrives comes with no instruction manual?
And who knows what kind of personality they're going to be born with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I do.
That is so interesting.
Yeah. And so for me, like I say, is I am who I am because the parents that God gave me, because of the hardships that I went through, that was the driving force for me to really be more intentional about being a parent. And it terrified me about being a parent also, because the one thing I did really realize with my parents, no matter what you do, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Yes.
And these kids get choices.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as, I remember I was in corporate America for the longest time. And when I decided to quit corporate America, I think my dad was going to cut my head off and kill me right then and there. He was just furious at me. At first, he was furious that I went into corporate America to start with, because girls are not supposed to do that back in the day. And then when I did, he was so proud of me. And then fast forward, when I stopped, oh my gosh, what are you doing? You're destroying your life. I'm like, thank you, Dad. But that's my life. I get to choose. And those are the things that we have to really remember.
And you see it so early on, you can pick out all the clothes you want for your child. And at some point, they make it clear they are wearing their Incredibles, pajamas until they absolutely rip off them and they burst out like the Hulk because they're the next size,
Yeah. And then Mom, please get me this in the next size.
Yes.
It would be the world to me if you could find the Incredibles in the bigger size. I'm like,
it's so funny, the different things that, I remember my sister who used to hand sew the most beautiful clothes you can imagine.
oh, wow.
And her daughter, one of them, she came home one day and in the neatest pile when the babysitter had been doing something, and she came home from her long nursing shift, and there was her hand-smocked, beautifully handmade dress in a pile that had been cut to pieces with a plastic scissors. That kid made it very clear, I am not wearing this pretty dress.
I was that child with the smocking. My mother would buy these beautiful smocking. I'm like, it itches so
It itches.
bad.
Oh my gosh, that's so
Please take
funny.
it off me, please, Mom.
I still remember a story with my mother I complained about shoes all the time and apparently itching too. And one day we're in a store and, we got shoes once a year. And that was at the start of school. The last week of August, you got to pick out your pair of shoes and you better like them because that was it for the year.
They were lasting.
And she's trying to shove the shoe on him. She's like saying to me, you're always complaining, we just get this shoe on. And I remember this one of my earliest memories, the shoe guy coming over and saying, can I just look at that shoe? And he pulls out the paper that was shoved in the front of the shoe.
Oh
as
my gosh.
My mother's like, that was, sorry, Diane.
Yeah.
Now shove the shoe on your
Now put it back on. Now. Yeah. I mean, those are the kind of things that as parents that we do sometimes. Like, those are our imperfections.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the one thing I found with my kids is that it was really important for me to give them choices
Yes.
at a younger age,
Mm-hmm.
way before I thought that most other parents would give them
Mm-hmm.
choices. And because it's so much easier to fail when you're young.
Yeah. Good point.
And it's
And so
much,
many parents try to prevent that failure.
yeah, because give them experience and have them try things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, setting your alarm clock. I would have kindergarten, first grade. No, kids, I'm not waking you up.
Yeah.
You set your alarm clock. And of course, one kid sets it for PM instead of AM. Of course they did. And, and of course, that was the kid who cared less about going to school on time. And you could see his temperament. It was great for mom to learn, too. Oh, this is the child that is going to. But guess what? Even as he got older, even in high school, it was his choice to be late to school.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget the college counselor, the high school college counselor goes to me, do you realize your child has like some ridiculous number of absences or tardies?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yes, and those are all his tardies.
Yeah. He owns them.
He owns them.
Yep.
Because he would wake up 5 minutes before school and run.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes make it and sometimes not.
And that is refreshing because I know a lot of people who are teachers and coaches for young athletes, and they'll say they cannot believe the amount of parents that come in and say, well, you need to remove those from the record, versus the parent that says, they're yours. That's what he earned. That's what, he's got to learn that responsibility, that consequence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that, life truly is about consequences. And I think the other thing about parenting people don't tell you is sometimes those consequences that are because of your kids,
Mm-hmm.
you as the parent sometimes have a consequence also.
Oh, yeah.
And
we're seeing that in certain laws right now, whether where that's going to go.
Well, I remember my boys, and they were meaning well.
Mm-hmm.
They went and cut down. They picked the flowers of our next door neighbor, and gave them to me. And I was like, oh my gosh! And they had just planted these flowers the day before, and they're ones that that are annual. I have brown thumbs, so
that's hilarious.
And so
they picked the neighbor's flowers to give them to mom.
Gave them to mom. Look, mom, look what we got for you. Aren't they beautiful? And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, thank you. And oh my gosh, that neighbor is going to be so upset with me.
That is very funny and adorable.
And but their intentions were good. They still got a consequence. And mom got to listen to that neighbor be very upset also.
Oh, sure.
And I got the consequence also of their actions.
Well, a lot of parents get consequences when they realize that their potty mouth gets repeated by those little mimics they are raising. Or if it's not the potty mouth, it's some phrase they've used. Like, I remember my 3-year-old saying, Mom, when I said to her, do you just want me to start yelling? And she looked at me and she goes, no, that would be ridiculous.
You must use ridiculous.
Exactly. And in that moment, I thought, oh my gosh, this little mimic just dissed her mother and made me laugh at the same time.
Yeah, there's something that, you always say, oh, do what I say, not what I do.
Yeah.
And the truth is, they do what we do, not what we say. They do what we say also, but they are literally mimicking us.
Yeah.
And to me, it's good at times because they see mom's doing this too. Mom's not easy on herself either. Mom's pushing herself out of her comfort zone. Mom's this, mom. And, you know.
Kids are funny with that, how they'll come instinctually give you a hug like, just calm down.
Oh my gosh. Especially the son that you met of mine. He's the one. I mean, he's my hugger.
Yes.
I mean, he's like, Mom, he's like cheerleader. He's my hugger. He's my, he's the guy who asks me all the questions. I mean, he's my talker. He's the one. Okay, so Mom, okay, you are giving me a lecture, but make it short. I do want it, but make it short. Your lectures are good, but, make it short.
Yeah.
I get the point.
I've been there. Mom, you went past the close.
Yeah.
Now I have to remind the one who tells me that. You just went past the close. I said yes, stop.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, he's also my negotiator.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, negotiates on everything. And so, in fact, the other day he calls me up. He's like, and we have a deal that, listen, if you want to come see Mom, whenever you want to come see Mom, I'm happy to pay for your ticket. Well, I'm not happy to pay for it. I will allow you to use my frequent flyer miles. But you better do it early enough because there's only so many frequent flyer miles.
Right.
And I'm going to use them for grandparents to come see us and whatnot. And everybody gets to use Mom's frequent flyer miles, even some of the cousins to come see Mom. So you better, sign up early and use them wisely.
Wisely. Yes.
And so he's like, okay, Mom, what do I do? It's like, I really want to come see, but I don't know the date for Thanksgiving and this and that. And I'm like, okay, let's just do the Sunday after Thanksgiving because that's going to be the hardest one. And so go book that.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you can book it that way? I'm like, yes, you don't have to book a round trip ticket when it's like that. And so it's this give and take.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, and it's so. The other day, I was talking with my niece, and she told me I was buckled over in laughter. She's got a son who has some vision issues, and she's 3 little kids. They're trying to get out of the house, but the television's on, and she's like, "I know you had the remote last. I know you had it. Come on, where's the remote? We got to turn off the television." And in his 5-year-old set of wisdom, turns around and says, "Mom, I believe you are correct. I do think I had the remote last, but I did not commit its location to my short-term memory."
Wow. What amazing.
You are going to be in trouble if this is coming from a 5-year-old.
Oh, my
Brace yourself. You have no idea what 15 is going to look like.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Channel that energy. Keep him in those computer classes that he's loving.
Oh, that's awesome. My husband always says is that, it's a Mark Twain quote, and I'm probably going to get it wrong. Like, your kid when they're in high school, you don't know anything, Dad. You just don't know anything. But then when they
have a kid.
College or get out of college, oh, Dad, wow.
Yeah.
You learned so much in such a short amount of time. I'm so shocked how much you know now. And it's so interesting now, our boys are 22 and 21. And it's amazing how many questions, especially to my husband, do they call up and ask. And the funniest thing the other day, my son's like, "Mom, I got turned down on getting a credit card. Like, I wanted this one card. It has all these benefits and like it's the best card out there. I did my research. I figured out I want this credit card." I go, "Yeah, sweets. Well, that credit card, you're going to need a little more history and whatnot." How did they know? I go, "Your best bet is to start with the bank that you have, checking account with
Mhm.
and start there. And they're like, no, Mom, that's not the good credit card. How come they're... It's like, no, Mom, it's definitely based on your income. It's definitely based on your
No.
income. I was like, kids, I go, do you have any money in your savings account? They're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, wow, you got a decent amount. That's great. Now, go to that. And then the younger one comes back and goes, oh my gosh, I got it. I go, but go into the bank. He didn't go into the bank.
Mhm.
He did it his way. He still got credit. His brother went in and did it the way Mom said, and he got twice as much with the same
Mhm.
amount of money in his account. And well, Mom knows a few things every once in a while.
Yeah.
And it's funny to see. And they don't mean to be competitive against each other,
Mhm.
but I think it's a little fun brotherly
Oh, sure.
competition that helps.
You learn a lot from siblings.
Oh, they really do. And they
I mean,
couldn't
we all
be
do.
they couldn't be more opposites,
Mhm.
but they do.
Yeah,
Very much so.
I think you have parents and then you have siblings that are the ultimate checkers
Yep.
of your behavior one way or another.
Completely. And there are plenty of times I've said to either one of them, hey, I'm not sure about that. I think your brother would be the better person to ask that question
Mhm.
because he might have a little more experience in that.
I'm curious your thoughts. In the imperfect parent, something I see a lot, and I do have 2 kids that tell me everything,
Yeah.
or way more than I would ever expect, and want to discuss things with me. I think I know why that happens, but I'm curious to your thought. What do you think about the phenomenon of the parents that say, "Well, I'm your friend. I want to be their best friend."
I address this in the book, actually.
Mhm.
I think that...
I remember.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about this.
I think you're setting your child up for failure to think that a parent is a friend.
Correct. Or
Because...
not correct. I agree.
I-
I agree.
I
I
mean-
agree. So I'm going to call that correct.
Because a parent has unconditional love.
Mhm.
A friend doesn't necessarily.
Mhm.
A parent will hold you accountable, or
Accountable.
a parent should hold the child accountable. And a parent sets boundaries, especially when they're younger.
Mhm.
And a parent teaches right and wrong. And a friend doesn't necessarily do those things.
Mhm.
And so if you're expecting, yes, a friend can hold you accountable. But a friend isn't necessarily going to set boundaries and hold you to the boundaries. They should,
Mhm.
but they don't sometimes. A friend sometimes isn't going to tell you right from wrong. They're going to tell you their right from
Yeah.
wrong. And
Or after the fact, discuss it.
or after the fact, after you overstepped a boundary.
Mhm.
Oh, I have a great story about how I didn't know because of how I grew up. Like, and I grew up with a sister that you were just blatantly, your siblings came first and you were allow them to... My sister could come in and take whatever clothes she wanted, whenever she wanted them, and didn't have any responsibility to give those clothes back. Okay? And it was a huge contention between us.
Mhm.
So fast forward, I'm in college. I borrow a pair of pants from my roommate and I give them back all folded because, that's what you do. Well, she's not there now. The next time I want to borrow them, her sister's there visiting. Not even not her sister doesn't go to that school. She was just visiting. So I just asked the sister because, I knew you were
Mhm.
supposed to ask.
Mhm.
And the sister was like, well, I don't know. And I was kind of in a hurry. And so I was like, oh, no, it's okay. She's let me do it before. Don't
Mhm.
worry. We're good friends. I returned it. It'll be fine. And I took the jeans
Mhm.
and I wore them. And the friend was irate that I put her sister in that situation to say yes or no.
Mhm.
And looking back on it, it was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And the sad thing is I had to learn that in college, and I lost a friend over that. And I never regained that friendship because of the way I was raised.
Mm-hmm.
And because I didn't learn right from wrong. And again, I had to learn it later in life, and the consequence was much greater than if I learned it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And that stuck with me.
I think that's a great example of, parents that are approaching you as a friend. Oh, whatever. Yeah, whatever. No. No. You ask permission, and if you can't get permission from the person that is the one who can grant it, yes. It's just like, if in any situation, if someone starts venting on someone, and I say, okay, time out. I listened to this for 10 minutes or whatever my limit is at that moment. I say, now it's time for you to address it with the person who can make the difference.
Exactly.
If it was a counseling session, you can talk all you want, and then I'm going to still give you the same feedback. I mean, there's got to be a point you address whatever the issue is with but
person.
That's, teaching someone those boundaries and those limits that are so important to the parenting educational process.
Yes. Yeah. That reminds me also of something else that I find really important that sometimes doesn't get addressed is that the whole blame game.
Ooh.
I'm like, no, there's no pointing fingers. My brother did it. No, I don't care what your brother did. I only want to hear what you can control. I want to hear what you contributed to whatever happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't matter my brother did it or not. It only matters. You are only capable of controlling yourself.
Yeah.
And stop blaming somebody else.
Yeah, that would have been my parents, especially my mother, who was a tough cookie. If you started to say, well, so and so, that you were in trouble right there. The minute you tried to shift, if you got caught for someone,
yeah, nope, that
zero tolerance for trying to shift the blame to someone, which is not happening, I don't think, in a lot of parenting today. It's like, oh, Johnny, you're right, going into the teacher, well, my son got picked on. Well, what'd your son do to get picked on?
Exactly.
And that's not always the case. Bullies exist.
Right.
But then that kid needs to learn to, there
Speak
was
up
a
for
lot
themselves.
of justice in playgrounds that happened, You learned, I got beat up one day, defending a friend, that I shouldn't have defended, but I did defend because I thought I should defend. And then I found out I didn't mind my own business, which I should have, but.
Yeah, but you learned that.
You
learned.
And you get the consequences.
And you had the consequences because of it.
And you can't protect everyone because those things are so essential to me, to parenting.
Exactly.
Letting your kids stumble and fail before they get to a point where they're in the workplace and they want their parent to call and help them out.
No,
I've seen, thank God, not with my kids, but I've seen it with other kids.
Yeah.
And it just can't be that way.
Yeah, completely. I'll never forget. So one of the things I did with the boys is in first grade and so the other one was in kindergarten. Whatever I did for the one, I did for the other most of the time. First grade and kindergarten, I said to them, listen, I'll make your lunch 3 days a week. And what that is going to entice is that I'm putting money on the account. I'm not really making your lunch. I'm paying for your lunch, and I'm putting that money on the account at school for the entire year. 3 meals, and we...
Learning budgeting at an early age.
At a very early age. Put it on, and you can then spend that money how you want to spend it.
Mm-hmm.
But you're responsible to make lunch 2 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I will have all the things in the refrigerator for you to make it. And if you want to make it 3 days a week, or 4 days a week, or 5 days a week, whatever is left over at the end of the year, you get to keep. Because you've done the work in order to have the money. That's your money. You chose a different path. Okay. One child has a huge amount of money left over at the end of the year. he like brought his lunch every day and like would never.
What an excellent parenting rule.
But-
Yeah, keep going.
And his brother, come April, completely was out of money. But on top of it, both of them, when they did spend money, they were like, how much is this to the cafeteria workers? Well, no. Well, what's the best deal? How do I make it like, I only want to spend this much today? Because like, I want like, so they knew exactly how much everything cost.
Yeah.
They knew when apparently there was a certain day that ice cream was on special.
Yeah.
And so they would just get and sometimes they just got ice cream. And as a mom, you look back and you're like, okay, is that bad or is that good? In my opinion, they got to learn. And so they're not going to die in
They're not going to
first
die.
grade
They can
having
come
ice
home
cream.
and eat when they get home.
And they can have something nutritious when they get home. Okay? They're not going to die.
I think that's a huge lesson. I mean, I remember our kids when they were little, I'd say on a Saturday, we're going treasure hunting, and we'd go to thrift shops or yard sales, and I'd give them both $1.
Okay.
And for one thing for sure, they both learned charm because they would come home with things and they'd still have that freaking dollar. So they had to have learned charm and poise or negotiating. I'm not sure how they did it, but 9 out of 10 times they both still had the dollar. But the second thing is our daughter who, went into fashion and became a stylist. And
I love that.
But even as she got older, I would say, well, you want to go clothes shopping? I buy my clothes in thrift shops. Do you, and I worked, I had big business. It didn't bother me. I liked going to thrift shops because I could look through 15 different outfits in one rack versus going from here to here to here. It's just my thing.
Yeah.
And to this day, if I think our daughter is probably the ultimate stylist for anyone because she could she'll get them all the designer things they want, but she will figure out how to get them and have change.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And it's a lesson.
Exactly. It is a lesson. That son did figure out that they give you free peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And I'll be really good friends with the lunch lady, and because he didn't like jelly. He just wanted peanut butter. And he sometimes wanted peanut butter and honey. And so he would get her to make him peanut butter and honey sandwiches. And then all of a sudden I would get a phone call. And this is the other thing that I find interesting is that I would get a phone call and the school would be like, excuse me, there's no money on his account. I was like, yes, I do. Mm-hmm. I'm really fine with it. Yeah. He's okay. He can make his lunch at home. Please don't.
I love it.
And I actually told the lunch lady, stop giving him these peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Stop.
But that shows he has charm and can negotiate and navigate in business. So
trust me, he does.
Yeah. But those kind of skills are, when somebody says, well, what comes first, self-confidence or self-esteem? I'm like, well, your self-confidence comes from failing. Yes. And then you learn that self-esteem because you could get through it.
Yeah.
You got through it. And the only way you can build that confidence is when you have these situations where, you know what? You didn't study for the test. No, you can't stay home today.
Yeah.
You're going to school.
Yeah.
You have no fever. There's nothing wrong with you.
Exactly.
Take the test, and if you still don't feel well, go to the nurse.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, yes. I have done that.
Those, and it's the hardest things about parenting. Mm-hmm. We all love these kids. We want to, you want to make their life easier than yours was. But in that making the life easier, you look back and you say, what did I learn from?
Right.
If I look back on my life in business, when everything was going great, when the money was rolling in, when it looked like we can do no wrong, what was I learning? I was learning how to spend money that, just without thought.
Right.
When things dip and you have to say, how do I service this client better? How am I going to get more clients?
Yeah.
How am I going to watch every dime I'm spending? How am I going to make sure I make payroll? You learn in those moments of adversity. And it's the same with parenting.
Yeah. Well, I always say is that, when you're in the midst of struggle, you're about to learn something.
It's a good lesson.
Even myself, even myself, because I mean, after writing this book, the whole social media stuff was extremely new to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you even do any of this? Like, what does this picture mean? Like, I don't know these icons. I mean, and I was like, okay, kid, show me how to do this. And, it was hilarious because he's like, Mom, you're struggling. That's awesome. I'm so proud of you. It's like, delightful child. and he's just like, you're about to learn something.
What would be the number one takeaway you would want besides read The Imperfect Parent? What would be the number one takeaway you think?
I think that for anybody, I think that the best thing about that book are the questions at the end.
Mm-hmm.
The questions, because if two people, even if you're a single parent, if you sit down and answer those questions and you're self-reflective
Mm-hmm.
of not that you're going to get it right, but you're going to be more prepared to get it right
Mm-hmm.
or to get what you want right, because there's so many things out there telling us how to do things, and there's tons of different ways of that everybody else is influencing us.
Mm-hmm.
We need to know what if you don't know where you want to go, it's really hard to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And the questions at the end help you decide for you where you want to go with your child and how you want to raise your child, instead of having the outside world tell you how you should raise your child.
Mm-hmm.
And
Excellent.
I mean, that word "you should," the
Mhm.
shoulds. I mean,
yeah.
it's like it's like a bad word in our house. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. No,
Yeah.
just do it. Do it the way you want to, and that's why the book is dedicated to my future daughter-in-law. It's not to tell her how to do it. It's so she can tell me how she wants to raise my grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
And just to get her, so she can be clear.
Mm-hmm. We're really out of time, but I have a question I want to ask you before we go,
Okay.
which is, what do you think about the trend of negotiating with the child? And
Okay.
at what ages do you think that fits into the parenting process, and when do you think it doesn't?
Okay, so, there's just 3 different parenting styles. And one of them is negotiating.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a child that is a very big negotiator. However, what I have found is that whenever they start is their personality. So we
Mhm.
can't say there's no age. There's
Mhm.
like all those kind of things, But the best thing to do is to get curious.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they negotiating? What is their end goal? What do you really want? What are you after? How come? And then maybe it is appropriate at that moment in time to negotiate and help them be an even better negotiator
Mm-hmm.
and push back. And my husband every once in a while goes, man, you are hard on them. And I'm like, well, like when they were young, they had a lemonade stand. And I
Mhm.
didn't let them just have a lemonade stand. It's like, okay, well, what are you going to have me be? Am I your investor?
Oh my gosh.
Am I your banker? Or am I your partner? Or am I an employee? And I made them take a loan and pay it back and everything. I know we're almost out of time, so I don't want to keep on going on
I
and
can
on about
totally
this.
relate to the lemonade story because, our daughter babysat and got the idea. The money came to me. It's my money, Then one day I think it was elementary school or whatever. She was probably 5th grade or something. She wanted to do the lemonade stand. We found a thrift shop
Yeah.
that let her set it up on the lawn with a girlfriend. And I said, well, wait a second. She came home. She goes, we made, $200 or whatever. And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, actually, let's talk about this. There was the cost of the ice cubes.
Yep.
There was cost of those lemons you wanted to slice up. There was the container
Yep.
because you wanted a new one.
Mm-hmm.
I think you didn't actually make any money on this first day, so you better go back and do it again tomorrow. Oh my God. I was the mother pariah.
Oh.
She told everyone we knew, I have the worst mother. She stole my money.
We were living in Lubbock, Texas, and the kids had this lemonade stand out in front, and a reporter came up to them and interviewed them, and I was the loan shark mom in the newspaper, and I wear that with a badge of honor.
Same with me.
Because guess what? The loan shark mom, I charge them interest. and they did
a real life lesson.
Yeah, and they learned that it was hilarious because then they found out later on in life, like, Mom, did you know that you're not allowed to charge that much interest? I was like, usury laws. I was like, I'm so glad you even know what that is.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, Kate, time goes too fast on these. I can't believe 55 minutes is over, but
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I so appreciate being here with you and enjoying talking with you and hopefully spreading the word about the imperfect parent.
And it is a good word. I'm Dian Griesel. This has been the Silver Disobedience Perception Dynamics podcast. We're recording in beautiful Manhattan Center, TV2. My guest has been Kate Hamilton. She is a fabulously wise woman, and she is the author of The Imperfect Parent, a book I highly recommend. And I recommend you really get 2 copies if you're thinking about having children. Have you read one, have your partner read one, and do answer those questions because it will help your child raising process. And it really does kind of work at that as that manual we all wish we could have had. So thank you. There'll be there'll be links to the book below. There'll be ways you can stay in touch. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Diane. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
And thank you, everyone. Please hit subscribe.